Hello, hello, my green skins. And today, what are we talking about? We're talking about a BBC show that is so popular, I don't know how I missed this one. I'm actually kind of in the loop. Again, I'm not really from the UK, but I got a lot of friends that are from Europe that I've known over the years. I met through university meetups and stuff over the years. And you figure they would have brought this show up to me, and they didn't. And this show is called The Bottom. And what can I say about The Bottom? Surprisingly, a popular show. Popular enough that it has quite a few specials. For a show that only had 3 seasons and I think a max of like 6 episodes a season, 3 specials, 3 live events, and then you have yourself the a movie, which is actually like that's quite surprising for this little show. So let's break it down with the actors. The actors in this show are mainly there are only two big guys, but I'll give you a little supporting cast here. You got yourself Rick Mayall, which I know this name, but I don't know where he's from. I've seen him in other stuff. Richie Richardson, Abe Edmonster, who plays Edward Hitler. Yes, Edler Hitler. Christopher Ryan, who plays Dave Hedgehog, and Lee Corus, who plays Dickhead. Now, these are the guys that you see the most in the show as like a group of characters. Now, the two main heads are, Richie Richardson and Edward Hitler, who basically, best way to put it, play pretty fun for what they are. It is a very over the top show, and they act quite good in some ways, but this is kind of a dirty, dirty good. Now, I'm going to break down it through the story because I can't really get much into it without actually ruining what this is, because this is a comedy, and it's a very dark comedy. So let's break her down into the story. What can I say about this story? It follows Richie Richardson and Edward Hitler. No relation, maybe relation. We're not sure. I know his mother. These guys, these complete and utter dickheads, best way to put it. Like, Richie Richardson seems to be a complete and utter prick, and he's hanging out with an alcoholic grifter bastard who's basically they're both bastards, best way to put it, and they're dirty and rotten in every single way, and that's the best way to put it. Like, I think there's no other way, and they live in this really dirty, 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 rundown part of London. Like, this place just seems to have grit everywhere. And I guess if you've lived in a really bad part of town in a major city, you're going to get this show real good. Or if you lived in like a low rent housing or something like that, you're going to relate to this show and the insanity that ensues. Trust me, I know. And that's why I think people related to this show in a lot of ways. Like, by episode 2, we're talking like their body count. Like, if I was to do a crime counter, what by episode 2, assault, attempted murder, assault again, battery of a body or destruction of a body, theft, destruction of property, theft under 5,000, assault, sexual assault. And that's episode 2. And the funny thing is that they'll do this episode, and then the rest of the episodes are kind of benign, but they'll do these extreme episodes, and it's just completely off the rocker. And I'm gonna have to talk about that in the scene work and stuff. But yeah, from that to how many murders? I think I counted like overall 5 murders, attempted murders. Like these guys do some awful crap, and they get into some of the insane shenanigans ever. We're talking about counterfeiting money, um, stealing property, and like I said, the funny thing is, like I said, this show has great episodes and it has like lull episodes, and then it goes back into these great episodes. Every season seems to have a really good episode, and then an ending that I don't want to ruin, but it suits the end result to these two jackasses quite well. Now the let's break down the action and some of the slapstick to this. The slapstick for this show is awesome. They actually did a really good job. And okay, here's the thing: there are times that the scene work in this and the set work is so fucking good. Like one of the moments I liked was going back to episode 2. They built a set for them to run across stuff, look at stuff, move stuff around. Like they're really fucking good at that. And they did some really good scene work. This is a surprisingly good looking show, although it's dirty as fuck. It's just so absolutely dirty and gritty. Like these like these guys live in a rough part of town. And it has some amazing stuff, but it's very cartoonish in some ways. Like there are pratfalls in this that are just great. Like one of the great beatings, they beat this guy up so bad. They just keep beating him up and beating him up and beating him up. And it's just a moment where they stop and then look at each other and they keep doing it. It's like stuff like that. Like another funny one is there's a scene where one of the guys cuts off the other guy's legs. And it's like, oh, they just sew it back on, no big deal. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. But this is the type of insanity. It's basically very Mr. Bean pratfall if Mr. Bean had a bunch of gore. And that's it. That's the show. Like this show is very extreme. Like it takes that kind heart, that Mr. Bean like loose slapstick, and amplify it to 50 basically. And that's kind of the funny thing about this show. They really did do that. And like I can't believe this show is this popular in some ways, but yeah, no, when I brought this up with other people, it was a lot of Brits were like, "Oh, I remember that show. It was such a good show. It's so over the top. I liked it." It's like, yeah, or oh, you can't make that show ever again. And I'd have to agree with them. There's no fucking way the show would ever get made ever again. Just for the gore and the jokes. The joke, like this is a raunchy show, and it is very gritty and it's fun. Like it is very fun. Like I had a buddy of mine watch it with me every once in a while. He'd come over and watch it, and he's just like, "This show's great." And this is something I'd actually pick up if I could. A little bit of a bastard to get some of these shows from Britain through normal means, cough cough. But I would pick this show up. Like I'm gonna look up and see if I can get this show through my own without getting region hit. But I like this show. Like this is up there with Black Books in my mind for a good show. Now let's break her down to the rating. So what am I rating this show? It's a dark, gritty show. Very reminiscent to other stuff I've seen, like Red Dwarf, in some ways, and not always. Like Red Dwarf is not as dark as this show, but this show has that darkness, that this dark grittiness I kind of like. Like I like dark comedies. I'm kind of one of those guys that's like, I'm into comedy as a whole, but this was really well done. And I enjoyed this. And I wouldn't mind watching the specials. And I heard they had a live, like I said, the live TV, the live stage shows and stuff. And I kind of want to see those. But this show's ending, like I said, it works and it doesn't. The best way to put it. I liked it. I'm going to give it a 6.3. It's above average. There are times where I'm like, my best way to put it is, am I ever looking at my phone when I'm playing on this? Because like, am I considering picking up a Pokemon today or something like that? Am I gonna grab a Pokemon, or I'm gonna do something like that? That my brain should not either go to that or put to that. And this show didn't make me do that often. And it's not a long show. It's something you can watch for a laugh. And I like dirty shows like this. Like I was actually a fan of some of these other, like there were some stand-up comedians that did some shows, and they were these dirty, gritty shows where everything was kind of dirty and grimy. Because we get that a lot in America. America really doesn't do that dirt, that like, like like this is a place you would not want to live if you could avoid this. But guys, people are going to be doing that, and they're going to be getting drunk, and they're going to get piss faced, and you might have to deal with random roaming bands of like dogs or seagulls. Fuck the seagulls. Fuck those son of a bitches. And that's what this show kind of reminds me of. It's that very dirty, gritty, dark humor, a lot of great pratfalls. The acting in this is quite fun and enjoyable. The comedy is really well done. And yeah, I think a 6.3 works perfect for me. So yeah, that's my review of The Bottom. Nice little show, and I'm hoping to find more shows like that on the BBC. Uh, Something like this from the 90s needs to be kind of made more. Like, I don't think this will ever get made again, but shows like this are fun. And this was a good show. And yeah, I had a blast. Thank you so much for listening to me. Like, subscribe, share this thing everywhere. And definitely watch The Bottom. Like, if you don't share my content, I understand. But, I'm saying watch this show. If you like dark comedy, this is a show for you. Thank you, everybody, and have yourselves a very good night.